What's up, guys? This is day 9, so you're in chapter 9. Again, I'm going to key in on some verses. 2 questions that I did not get to tell you yesterday, but I do want you to focus in on, is the 2 questions for each one of these chapters that I'm going through is, what do these verses tell you about Jesus, and what do these verses tell you about you? Right now we're looking at the man born blind. Now, the things that I key in on here, because the story is good and it's long. It's got a lot of interaction. It gives you a lot of information about who this man is, who his parents are. But I want to go down to verse 20 and read that and give you an insight on that from my perspective. His parents answered them. He was healed by Jesus, and then the crowd brought him to the Pharisees and said this man was healed by someone. So the Pharisees asked him a question. They said, well, maybe this is not the man. Let's get his parents. So his parents show up, and this is what it says. And his parents answered them and said, we know that this is our son and that he was born blind. But by what means he now sees, we know not. Or who hath opened his eyes, we know not. He is of age. Ask him. He shall speak for himself. These words spake his parents because they feared the Jews, for the Jews had agreed already that if any man did confess that he was Christ, he should be put out of the synagogue. Therefore said his parents, he is of age, ask him. The first part I want to get to, the first thing I want to key in on is the fact that salvation is personal. It's not about you and your parents. So if you got parents that are in church and you think you're going to fly into heaven because they're right with God, think again. Relationship with God is personal. It's like you meet me. Just because you meet me and you tell your parents about me, your parents don't know me. They may know things about me, but they can't walk up to me in the store and say, hey, Nelson, how you doing? That can't happen because I don't know. The first thing I'm going to do is back up and say, I don't know who you are. Did I meet you somewhere and I forgot? So it's personal. It's not about you and your parents. It's not about you and your pastor and God. It's about you and God. It's personal. That's the first thing. He had a personal encounter. His parents said, hey, I don't know. You ask him. He's of age. You're of age. God's looking for you to have a relationship with you alone. Just you and him. Just you and him. The second thing is verse 30 says, the man answered and said unto them, these are the Pharisees who were questioning him, saying, okay, well, who healed you? Who was it that did this? And what do you think about him? The man answered and said unto them, why, herein is a marvelous thing, that ye know not whence he is from, yet he hath opened my eyes. Because they were saying, we don't know who this man is or where he comes from. All we know is God. And this man says, isn't this incredible that you don't know who he is? You're the religious people. You don't know who he is, yet he opened my eyes, something you guys can't do. Verse 31, now when we know that God heareth, this is still the guy talking, and you think this man ain't been in church because he's blind, yet he becomes a theologian. Look what he says that is deep. He says, now we know that God heareth not sinners, but if any man be a worshiper of God and doeth his will, him he hears. Then he says, since the world began, was it not heard that any man opened the eyes of one that was born blind? So you'll have to do some research in the scripture and see if in the Old Testament anybody blind got healed. From this guy, he's saying, no, he must know the scriptures because it's true. Then the final thing he says is, if this man were not of God, he could do nothing. Last thing, the second thing I want to give you is that we will be willing. What are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to sacrifice to stand for God? What are you willing to sacrifice for the way he's blessed you, the way he saved you? What are you willing to sacrifice? This man was willing to sacrifice everything. His parents, he didn't care about not being in the synagogue because they didn't let him in there anyway. What are you willing to sacrifice? Your family? Your friends? Are you willing to sacrifice them for the testimony you're going to have for what he's done for you and what he continued to do for you? That's the bottom line. Again, regardless of your family and your friends, are you willing to stand with the testimony God has given you? Because those are the only 2 weapons we have, the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. Again, the 2 questions you have to answer is, what does this passage say about Jesus? And what is it saying about you? That's the forefront of everything. Remember to stay strong, stay focused, and stay safe. God bless.